What's going on, guys? Tommy back here again, talking sports, wearing shorts, and obviously you would have seen the title of this video, Jude Bellingham. Is he still going to join Liverpool? Are Liverpool out of the race? I'm sure you would have seen many videos by now about this topic. I wanted to give you my thoughts and what I think is happening and this little saga that seems to be developing with Jude and Liverpool. So before I jump in, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you are new. So you're keeping up to date with all the football news. But this one is a massive one, Jude Bellingham specifically, with Liverpool apparently ending their interest in Jude Bellingham all of a sudden. Very random. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about maybe potentially the players that Liverpool could go for if they're not going for Jude, and sort of their price tag, and just trying to piece together what's actually happening here, because obviously potentially it could be true, right? It could be true that Liverpool would not be going for Jude Bellingham anymore and trying to pursue other targets. But we're going to delve into a few things and a few things that Liverpool have done in the past with certain players, and just how those sagas panned out. And I'm just going to touch on them briefly. And look, it doesn't mean that what's happened with previous players in regards to Alisson, Van Dijk and Thiago is going to happen with Jude. But I just want to highlight some things, and you can make your own decision on it. Because at the end of the day, and I think this is what is the most important thing to know, guys, is that ultimately nobody knows. Nobody fucking knows. So everybody can make these videos and tell you what they think, and that's what I will be doing. But nobody really knows what's happening right now. Like, you can read these reliable journos if you want, but like I said, and I'm going to pinpoint this out, they've been wrong before. They've been wrong before many a times. And so is the information reliable? There's obviously a touch of reliability about it. It's come from somewhere. Where it's come from, that's hard to predict. But what I'm getting at is nobody really knows if Jude's going to end up at Liverpool or not. Nobody knows. So if you're trying to look for an answer to that, it ain't going to happen. But what I'm going to give you is try to give you my most educated opinion on it, because I've tried to stay very level-headed about this. Because like I said, looking at Liverpool transfers in the past and just how they eventuate and how Liverpool do business, and that's the biggest thing you got to take out of all this, and you've got to really try to think about, is how Liverpool do business, specifically regarding players that they want. And we're going to touch on that, and we'll jump into a few articles. So here we go. We're just going to break it down. So the first thing I want to talk about in relation to this Jude Bellingham saga is that the timing of this is very, very odd for me. So if we talk about Jude coming to Liverpool, or Jude's interest, or the potential Liverpool interest in Jude Bellingham, I think that we can all agree that it's been pretty evident that Liverpool have been interested in Jude Bellingham for at least 2 years. We've all been aware of it. I think most people in the world know that Jude Bellingham is Liverpool's target, or was Liverpool's target. He might not be anymore. And I think we were all aware that Jude was kind of sending some links out there that he was interested in the move. Let's be honest about it. It's not like he shut it down. You know, there's been some things been said, and obviously he's met with our sporting director already, allegedly. If you want to believe that or not, that's up to you. So look, we just gotta. It's not like it's been shut down. You know what I mean? And so my first initial thoughts is, why would Liverpool end their pursuit in a player after really trying to get him for 2 years? That's my number one thing that made me a bit hesitant to this news. That's number one. Now, look, again, just because you go for somebody for 2 years doesn't mean that you can't just give up and end sort of the discussion. You can just walk away whenever you want. But it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem likely that Liverpool would spend all this time trying to negotiate with Borussia Dortmund and get that deal done, and then for them on one weekend to go, oh no, that's too much money, we don't want to go there. When, if you really think about it, we would have known this whole time how much Jude would have cost. And I don't think last weekend they've just decided to go, no, we don't want that. It just doesn't make sense from that point of view. If you go to negotiate with a club and you're trying to make a deal, Dortmund would have said from the get-go, that's how much they wanted. And then they would have deliberated and tried to figure something out. And obviously nothing's happened yet. But just, again, that's my first initial thing where I don't think it makes sense. So the second thing is the potential replacements if you don't get Jude Bellingham. So people are talking about, well, Liverpool don't want to spend 100 million on one player, so we're going to go out and maybe buy 3 to 4 midfielders instead. So here's my thing. You don't buy Jude for 100 million, but you'll buy Barella or potentially Casado I've even seen Declan Rice being named now. Like, if Declan Rice is going to be 80 to 100 million from West Ham, so if you're going to spend that, you may as well spend it on Jude. Do you know what I'm saying here? So if they're going to spend 70 to 80 million on another player anyway, I'm pretty sure, at least I'm fairly certain, they would have spent the extra 20 on Jude if that's the player that they wanted. So the whole Liverpool don't want to spend the money on 100 million Jude Bellingham because they would rather spend it on another player, I don't buy. And I don't buy it for this purpose also. I feel that Liverpool can get two midfielders, and that would be sufficient. Why would it be sufficient? Because you're losing Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, James Milner. That's your three midfielders, right? Who haven't really played that much football this year anyway. So you're not really losing too much. You lose three, you add two in, and it would be two in of high quality. So I think Liverpool can get away with two. They don't necessarily need three. They keep mentioning three. I don't think they need it. Why don't they need it? Because you could have Bellingham and Mount, let's say potentially. Bellingham and Mount come in. You still got Bajcetic, Fabinho, Thiago, Jordan Henderson, Harvey Elliott, and you could even say Tyler Morton back off loan from Blackburn might get a run in the side depending on how good he's going. And you got Curtis Jones. Not all of them are going to play at any given time, but I think that you could blend two players in there like Bellingham and Mount. You don't need three. I don't think you need three. I don't think that. And I don't think that Ryan Gravenberch, Casado, Barella, Declan Rice, Mason Mount, Mateus Nunes, any of them. So any of those three combinations, I don't think Liverpool would want over Bellingham. I personally don't see it. I can't. I know that's what's being thrown out right now, but it doesn't make sense to me. It hasn't stuck yet. And I could be blinded and a bit biased, whatever. But I don't see us spending 70 to 80 million on a player instead of spending the 100 on Jude. It doesn't comprehend because Jude's the generational talent. It doesn't make sense. So that's another thing that really got my head ticking. But this is the final one, and I'll pop this up on the screen for you guys to have a look at this article. So this is particularly in relation to Alisson, okay? Now, again, I touched on before about stuff being said in the past and how Liverpool have operated. So Paul Joyce, a guy that's broken the news as one of the journalists, the trio of journalists that have done it, he's broken the news about Bellingham not signing, or Liverpool ending their interest. Well, in 2018, he said exactly the same thing about Alisson. There's an article, and I want to post it up. He literally said, Liverpool have ended their interest in Alisson. 2018, they said that. He says that in 2018, what ended up happening? Liverpool spent a record fee. The key is there, record fee on a goalkeeper. Alisson Becker ends up at Liverpool. So what's the key highlight out of that? Now, obviously, it means that journalists aren't always right. And obviously, sometimes the club has plans in behind the background that not everybody knows about. Does that apply to the Jude Bellingham saga? I don't know. But what I'm trying to say to you is I don't 100% believe everything that comes out because they've been wrong before about similar situations. Said the same for Van Dijk, said the same for Thiago. Okay? So that's another thing where I'm not just completely sold yet. Okay? That's the other one. And then another part of this situation, I just want to read this article here. I got it up on my screen. This is a very, very clever piece of writing because then it really makes you think, and it makes me think about Van Dijk. So I'm just going to read it out. So Melissa Reddy is talking about Liverpool's interest, apparently, not wanting Bellingham anymore. So it just gets down a little bit, and it says this. Liverpool have spent a succession of transfer windows ignoring the obvious need to fortify their midfield due to waiting on the right player. Now, that is true. We haven't invested in the midfield. We lost Wijnaldum. We brought in Thiago, but that wasn't a replacement because we've been waiting for the right player. Correct? They had long become code for Bellingham, who Jurgen Klopp previously admitted the club hadn't signed solely on account of him not being available. So he wasn't available. That's why we didn't get him. Obviously now he is, and all this deliberation is happening. So let's break that paragraph down. The absolute key part to that paragraph and how you can kind of think about how Liverpool operate, because we've always done this, is that this part here, Liverpool have spent a succession of transfer windows ignoring the obvious need to fortify the midfield due to waiting on the right player. Guys, if you're watching this video, what does that sound like? What does that sound like if you're a Liverpool fan and you've been a Liverpool fan your whole life, just like myself? What does that sound like? That sounds like pre-Liverpool 2017. What did we desperately need in 2016? We needed centre-backs because we couldn't defend for our life. We would leak 3 to 4 goals near enough all the fucking time. But we didn't go out and buy a 25 million player, another 25 million player, and a 30 million player. We waited and we waited and we waited until the right player, and the right player was who? Van Dijk. And we spent the cash. Now, ultimately, we sold Coutinho. We had the money. That's correct. It's a different situation. I get it. But the point is, Klopp waited for the right player when we desperately needed defenders. So the point is that they have waited for long enough because they know what they want. They don't jump out and buy players. I feel Liverpool could go out and buy Barella. Liverpool could go buy Caicedo. Liverpool could go buy another midfielder, but they've waited. And they've waited deliberately. They haven't replaced the midfield, maybe due to naivety and thinking that maybe this midfield had a little bit more legs in it. That could be true. But I think it's deliberate. I think it's deliberate because they wanted Jude. And I don't think you come this far with this sort of style of transfers and just walk away. It doesn't add up. You know what I mean? It doesn't smell right. You don't do all the work and not sign a midfielder for 2 years to walk away on a weekend in April because all of a sudden you can't afford it. It just doesn't smell right. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not the be-all and end-all. I don't know. You know, I don't have contacts. I don't know. But I do my due diligence in terms of reading specific articles and piecing things together. And I guess this could be in hope, and obviously because I want Jude Bellingham to sign. And maybe I have got my rose-tinted glasses on right now and I'm not seeing it. But I'm piecing Liverpool's transfer policies together and how they operate and what they do. And this is kind of what they do. It's not surprising to me that this is going to drag out a little bit. You know what I mean? It just doesn't surprise me in that sense. It's not news we wanted to hear. Obviously, we want to hear Jude Bellingham's going to sign. But I think there's a little bit to play in this one. And again, I could be flat out wrong. Absolutely could be flat out wrong. And maybe they've told Klopp, look, we can't afford him, or we're not going to spend 100 million on one player because we want you to buy 3 to reinvest. So we're only going to give you X amount. That could be true. But here's one more thing that I'm just going to leave you with, and the final piece in terms of a negotiation tactic. Because I'm going to throw you out a scenario and see if you can understand what I'm trying to get at here. If you're Liverpool and you're trying to buy players, why would you release the information that you've just ended your interest in Bellingham? So here's my 2 things. If this is genuinely true, so let's take it on the fence that this is genuinely true. Why would you tell everybody that you're not wanting Bellingham anymore? If it was genuinely true, you'd just be like, okay, we're not buying him. And that's it. And you wouldn't say anything. Because now, if you tell everybody you don't want Jude Bellingham, you've played your card. So now any other player that you want, they know that you're desperate for a midfielder, so they're going to put the premium price up. It doesn't make any sense. So it doesn't make any sense in that regard. Because clubs will come circling and say, well, you're desperate for midfielders. You pulled out of the Bellingham race. Well, we want 90 million now for Barella. You know what I mean? So that just doesn't make sense in terms of a negotiation tactic. That kind of sparked my brain straight away. And then secondly, when have you ever heard, from the club, I repeat, them coming out and saying, oh, we've ended our interest in this player? You don't hear it. I've never heard it. I've never heard ever that Liverpool have come out and just gone, oh yeah, we've ended our interest. We don't want this player anymore. Because it means 2 things. For that article to come out, it even means 2 things. It either means we were never interested in the first place. So this is how I look at it. If these articles come out, it means that we were never interested in this player in the first place, which we know is a lie. We know that. That's a lie. Or it means that it's not true. So it's either we weren't even in for them in the first place, or the article is not true. So and we know we've been in for him. So that's why I'm trying to say, you just got to piece it all together. It could still end up that Jude ends up in a Manchester City shirt, that Jude ends up in a Real Madrid shirt. And if that happens, it happens, guys. You know what I mean? These are 2 teams that are the best in world football, and every player is going to want to play for them. It's not, this happens. This happened before, even before we were fantastic under Jurgen Klopp. It happened when under Rafa. It happened under Gerard Houllier. We would go for players. They wanted to go to bigger clubs. It happens. And if that happens, it happens. And we move on and we buy other players. But I don't think Liverpool miss out on Jude because Liverpool pull themselves out. I don't see it. I don't see it. I just cannot. I don't see Liverpool putting all this effort in for 2 years to pull out. I can't. I can't see it, guys. I think this is, I don't know if this is a smokescreen or a negotiation tactic. I don't know. But we'll find out. We're going to find out. Are Liverpool trying to push Bellingham to say something to Dortmund? I don't know. Like, are they trying to get him to say, hey, look, I want to go. Let me go. I don't know. None of us know. But this is my opinion. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. I think there's still a bit in this. I really do. I think there's still a bit in this. Could be wrong. I could be foolish. Maybe it's because I want him so badly, but I just can't see it. I can't see that we're completely done. We may be done in the sense of, no, we're not paying that. We're just going to stop negotiating for a little while. We're going to stand firm. That might be true. I don't think they're done. But we'll see what happens, guys. We will keep you updated. I will keep you updated. Don't worry about that. So if you liked it, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And I will see you on the next one. There will be some news. Trust me. Whatever news comes out, I'll let you know. Anyway, take care, guys. I'll talk to you later. See you later.